James Cromwell in studio.
Cromwell.
We are actually on.
Hello, sir.
We're having a crazy day.
How are you?
A very busy day.
Great. You look great. Look at you.
Thanks. Old.
No,
Not
at all.
You're aging well,
sir.
Fabulous.
Like a fine wine.
Aged quite well, sir.
Thanks.
You look fine, sir.
Feeling pretty good.
Well, you play in the movie. I saw the movie, Still Mine, and you play a guy who's like 87 years old.
Yeah.
Which is, was it weird to start playing roles where you have to like tack that age onto it? Like, oof.
No, the man I played built his own house. Not only did he build the house, he felled the logs, milled them himself, no help. Poured the foundation, framed it, roofed it, plumbed it. I was in the house. So if that's an 87-year-old man, I don't have to play. I don't have to put it. No makeup. I couldn't do it physically, so I thought, well, it's fine. Doesn't matter how I look.
Wait, he did all that at 87?
At 87. He was 90 when he finished.
Wow. And when did he die?
He died actually directly after we did the film, but he lived in the house for a couple of years with his wife, which is why he built the house.
Sure.
She had the beginnings of Alzheimer's, and, you know, the choice was either she goes into an institution against her will, very unhappily, and their entire life is just blown to pieces, or he builds this house to give her as easy a transition into whatever that dark night of dementia is.
Right.
But at least she got to be in a place that she loved and with somebody who took care of her. So it was very, very dear. And he ran afoul of the building commission in the province because he did not have architectural plans. He didn't get his lumber stamped. He didn't have the permits to do it.
It was enraging, by the way. Watching this and
Where
watching
did
him
this
deal
take
in
place?
Canada.
In Canada.
Watching him deal with this bureaucracy.
It's a real story.
Yeah, sure.
It happened in New Brunswick. We didn't shoot it in New Brunswick except for the last part of the film. And they would have bulldozed the house, except it got in the local paper. Then the provincial paper picked it up. Then it got to the national paper, and the Premier of Canada saw it, and he said, "You're going to bulldoze a house built by a 90-year-old man for his wife who has dementia? Are you out of your bloody minds?"
When you put it like that, yeah.
Oh, golly gee. Stupid. You're right.
But it shows you how inhuman the organizations are. Like, watching you deal with he goes into get a permit, and you realize this is a guy in his 80s who's just lived life on this land, and I have to start dealing with this shit bureaucracy.
Yeah.
It made my stomach tight watching it.
Yeah, you know, the regulations, one of the reasons I like the film, it's not black and white. The guy is not wrong. They put those regulations in place because there are unscrupulous builders who cut corners and build substandard houses, which they sell to unsuspecting people. And that's why you have regulations. But the problem with authority, as we now know in this country, is that once authority has some power, they want more power. And then they don't look at individual cases, and they don't care whether you're capable. They don't care whether it's a unique circumstance. They just want to impose the rule because they can't see anything past the rule.
Right.
And you wind up with Mr. Snowden, who I very much support.
Oh, you like him? Yeah.
I do, very much.
I'm up in the air on him. I like WikiLeaks. Like, I really like what they do, and a part of me is like, well, did they put people in danger at all, or like, I'm kind of in the middle. But I don't hate Snowden. I kind of
There's people that want him executed for treason.
Sure.
And then there are people that think he did a great thing. Yeah.
Is he still in that airport?
Yeah, still in the airport.
He's got to be getting sick of the food.
Sure. Well, look at Julian Assange in the embassy in London. He's been cooped up there for a year.
Right.
No, the thing somebody said, one wonderful person said, the government is no longer afraid of Snowden or Julian Assange or Bradley Manning. The damage has already been done. And as to putting people in danger, everything that they released is vetted by The Guardian or the New York Times or the papers and no lawyer at a newspaper is going to say, you can't print.
Right.
So they take out all the things that would actually endanger national security, and they're telling the American people the truth, which is what the Obama administration is afraid of. Not those guys, but that somebody else in the government might say, oh, Snowden was right. This sucks. This is illegal. This is unconstitutional. This is unjust, and I'm going to expose it. That's the people that they want to frighten and misinform the American public so that we don't know what's happening until we wind up one day and we have turnkey totalitarianism and the deal is done.
Yeah.
And it can happen just like that.
They don't want a breach in the dam at this point.
Exactly.
So, they look at these guys like, well, it will give people ideas, and if enough people do it, it undermines their power. Yeah.
We're not talking about the film now, but
No.
Do you think, because Obama, again, he's another guy I'm up in the aisle. Like, I kind of like him personally. He's more liberal than I am, but I kind of like him. But a lot of people who supported him are very disappointed because they feel like he wasn't transparent like he said he would be, and that he wasn't who he presented himself as.
Actually, every promise that he's made, he broke. So I don't know why people wouldn't be this. I mean, just have to look at Guantanamo. I know he's facing a Congress that is not supporting him, but in terms of none of these banks, none of those people went to jail for what they did, and we went in the hole. And the person who got us in the war for no reason at all, in fact, a lie. He lied to the President of the United States, the other one. Shrub lied to the American people in front of Congress, and today he's on the New York Times, flanked by two guys getting their citizenship in uniform. So why is George Bush on the front page of the New York Times? He has a very good publicist. If I had that publicist, I would be on the front.
Not only that, but people, very short memories.
Yeah.
In this country, very short memories. Something can happen, and then everyone's all outraged about it, and then after a little while it goes by, it's like, hey, look, I'm back. Could I? Yeah. We see it in New York State alone with Weiner and
Spitzer.
It's like, and not that I think any of it is just outrageous bad things that they did.
No,
but it's just the fact that it's like, well, Spitzer more so than Weiner. Spitzer, he broke the law. He was going after people that were doing the same thing he was doing, going into and getting prostitutes. For money.
Yeah.
But Anthony Weiner is just some guy that decided, hey, here's my Facebook and Twitter and
just say it. Here's my dick.
And
what do they call those photographs that people take now of themselves?
Selfies.
Yes.
A selfie.
He did the wrong selfie.
Oh, he certainly did.
Believe me, I understand those. Every photo of me has my feet in it. Yeah. But yeah, Spitzer was kind of being like he was a total hypocrite, like because he was targeting people for what he was doing. But Weiner's just sending out pictures. Like, who cares?
I know he's going to come back though because he was quite a worthwhile congressman, right?
He'll come back, and
they both will come back.
I don't think Spitzer.
You don't think so?
People aren't as sympathetic to him because
I saw somebody on the street when I came out of the subway collecting signatures.
Oh yeah.
Oh really? Yeah.
Because I guess he has to come up with enough signatures to make it on the ballot, right?
Yeah, yes. I think he will anyway.
Probably.
It doesn't matter. Back to the movie.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. How did this gentleman get the knowledge to do all the plumbing and milling and cement work? Oh, just living long enough to learn it?
We don't realize that in New York, although there are New Yorkers who do this. But in the rest of the country, people, especially in the middle of the country, they live on a farm. You don't call a plumber
right
from Topeka to come out to your little town. You learn how to fix the plumbing. You know what to do with you wire the barn up, you roof your own house, you know how to frame it. You get a neighbor who has shingles. So people are very self-reliant. He's an ordinary man who does extraordinary things because he's principled, he's determined. And there's really no side.
Yeah, what was his back?
I like that raise.
I want to raise my hand.
Yes, sir.
I didn't want to interrupt. What was his background?
He's a I think I thought about this the other day. I know he's not a farmer.
Right.
I think basically he was a landowner. He owned 2,000 acres, and he probably in Canada milled logs and sold because he had his own mill. Which he was very capable of running. So I imagine he was, what do they call it? Lumber person, lumberyard.
And without being, not to that extent or anything, but are you yourself handy with things like that around the house?
A friend of mine came to the screening last night who's actually a contractor, and I asked him, and I said, how did I handle the tools? He said, the tools were okay. But you didn't frame the windows. No, that house would not have stood.
Oh, no.
Actually, the builder who built the house was incredible. He one guy built that entire house.
Really?
It's like totally completed. But while we were shooting the film, it went from nothing
it had to be
to
built.
a house.
Yeah, sure.
I thought, I'm my hat's off. My father and I built a shed when we finished. My father was very punctilious, but because of me. the whole thing, every angle. There wasn't a 90-degree angle in the entire thing.
It's like a big box, big square.
It was no, but it wasn't square.
No, not square. A little,
I'm so dumb.
Somebody had stepped on it.
a little off. Yeah. Oh, that's great.
You said 90-degree angle, and I'm thinking triangle. I truly am a high school dropout.
That's great.
God, am I a fool?
That's why you're in radio.
A triangle can have a 90-degree angle in it, though.
No, I know, but I'm...
Yes, it can.
Oh, good. I'm glad. None of us know what we're talking about. Surprised you put a roof on the house. It's like amazing. I can't even look at your IMDb. There's too many amazing things in it. Like there's just too many impressive things in the resume. But they started the Rockford Files in '74. Why is this 1955 Daddy Longlegs? What did you do in that? Or is that
no. IMDb, like WikiLeaks, once it gets on there, you ask them over and over again, please take that out. There's evidently some guy in '55. Named James Cromwell before I was a member of the union, and they seem to have forgotten I'm glad when I came in, so I'm not Robert Cromwell or something, and he did it, and I can't get it off.
Oh, so you also weren't in an episode of Manimal?
No, I was not.
Remember Manimal and Super Train?
Sometimes it's hard for me to remember what I did, but I would have remembered.
You remembered that one. I
think. We get the wrong James Cromwell. Were you wrong with Family? No.
No.
I loved you in Angels in America. It wasn't me. Oh, shit.
Some people think that I'm in Patriot games.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's Jimmy Repcorn or Donald...
Pleasance?
No, what's his name?
Sutherland?
No.
Sutherland?
No,
Yeah.
I've forgotten his name, and I did a play with
Duck?
him. But Donald Duck.
Trump.
But, it must be really. I think about Jimmy Rebhorn. That unfortunately people. Oh, weren't you in Babe?
Oh no.
Well, you were in LA Confidential. No, I'm sorry.
Well, you guys have the physical resemblance.
Yeah. I don't think so, but he was in the game. If you remember the game, he's a wonderful actor, and it must be like a knife in his back every time. Oh, somebody else.
How many episodes of All in the Family were you actually in?
Luckily, only 3.
Only 3?
Yeah.
Why do you say luckily only 3?
I was hired because Carol O'Connor quit the show because he wanted his name above the title. And Norman Lear said, what do I say to Jean Staple? And she's as much a part of the show, and that would be unfair to her. So I was hired, my character was hired to actually kill off Archie. Wow. And when we were rehearsing the show where he was going to die, when Carol settled, if I had stayed on that show, which was their plan, I would have always been known to all of you as Stretch Cunningham, sort of like Henry Winkler.
That's true.
And even Carol, who was a magnificent actor, because of Archie, when he tried to go back on the stage, everybody just saw, it's Archie Bunker. They couldn't see the man anymore.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So I really owe my career to Carol for saying he's better off where he is, which is what he said to me. You're better off where you are.
Wow. Were you conscious of that then?
No.
So you would have just taken the gig.
Oh, I wanted the gig, man. It was a great gig.
Oh, man.
I mean, I had gone on to do other things, but that one, I thought, wow, I really got that guy. And, it was very popular. And, cabbies, you'd walk in New York and they'd roll down their windows. Hey, Stretch, how you doing?
That's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
But it has a downside. Success, the wrong kind, has a downside.
Yeah.
And you pay for it dearly.
Wow. And most people would have thought you were in more episodes than that because
the name was mentioned so many times.
Yes, the name was
there
mentioned.
was one other one. The name was mentioned a lot. And then Carol, in order to make sure that I did not come back, buried me. I turned out to be Jewish, and he spoke at the funeral service.
That's right.
And I think he leaned out and said, not coming back. That's it for you.
That's right. He didn't know you were Jewish.
That's right.
The character was Jewish. And
right.
that was a funny episode. I do remember that.
Did he not like you? Or?
No. I was very fond of him, and he of me. It's just that he knew what the cost was.
Wow.
He knew more than I did. He was savvier, smarter.
It's almost depressing to watch All in the Family now, or such great, socially addressing comedy that address social issues in real language and in real ways. ways.
Yeah, yeah.
And now it's just such
They barely touch it.
They barely
It's
touch
ridiculous.
it. And when they do, it's emasculated and sanitized. Like they don't show you anything honest anymore.
Now that's interesting. Now, but cable, I did a show, American Horror Story. What do you think about?
Oh,
American
yeah,
Horror
yeah,
Story?
yeah.
I have not seen it. Cable's different than the network.
That-
Cable is very much different. You can't do
Yes.
it on the network, but cable is picking up, and they're doing.
You don't even know how.
Jimmy should have added
networks
it is
can
finally getting better.
Oh yeah, and on
But
cable
there
is
was
definitely
a
different, yeah.
long stretch there where it was ridiculous.
Yeah, they didn't learn from what was so successful and great.
Right.
They just started to water down.
No,
with it.
the next echelon of Harvard graduate executives that come in who know nothing about television, they have to make the same mistakes all over again.
All over again.
So
Yeah,
they bring
yeah.
the same crap back.
Yep.
And and it's not run by creative people anymore.
When you see where the viewers are going, and they're going to places like FX and
HBO.
A&E and HBO, things like that, you wonder why the networks are still adhering to this weird morality. It's almost like a moral thing. Like we don't want to go past a certain point with language or certain content because they don't want to offend people. But it's not just offending people. And offending people isn't that wrong in context, you know? If you're really putting a message out there or doing something very well, what's the problem if some people get offended?
There's a problem because your sponsor has a corporate position that should they offend a segment of the society and that segment decide to boycott your product, your sponsor is really pissed off.
That's what we saw. Rod Serling.
That's correct.
Rod Serling did an interview and touched on that subject for a good 10 minutes. It was brilliant, and you could play it right now, and it's absolutely relevant.
What did he say in general?
It was that the sponsors are running the show, and he's came up with some storylines that he had to change because, you know, you can't sell that soap if people are angry at what you're putting out there.
But cable has sponsors too, though. Like, you know, I think
the people who subscribe are the sponsors, and now people want the best television. They want to be informed. They want to be pushed. They want the envelope expanded.
Yeah.
It's corporate people that want it because they want a particular audience. They want women from 20 to 25 with a certain amount of income and who live in a certain place to buy this particular product. So the last thing they want to say is somebody coming on, to have something that is, well, of course, it wouldn't be chauvinist, but on the other hand, it wouldn't be about women's liberation either.
Right.
Or it wouldn't be about abortion, or it wouldn't be about the glass ceiling, or so they
anything
say,
that might chase away that demo is,
Right.
not going to be on there. Well, and it really cuts down. It's so good that there are outlets now for the artistic end of it instead of just the financial end of it.
It's very good for us.
No shit.
Makes some wonderful programming. And It's great to be on. I mean, I really like what happened with American Horror Story. But 6 Feet Under was a very, very special show, and to have been part of that, I'm very proud of it.
Would you go back to any series-driven television?
Well, I'm actually doing a show for ABC. Funny, we were talking about.
Oh, Jesus.
no.
Don't tell them.
Gentlemen, James Cromwell,
Burn the tape.
Sold out.
Surprised you didn't run away when we brought that question.
Is it a comedy or a drama?
It's a drama.
Okay, all right, cool.
Okay.
At least have some.
And it's a series. It's called Betrayal, and it's been on Dutch television for the past 3 years. So it's their most successful show. And the producer said, it's a Lear story. And since I'm very interested in Lear, I'm doing a production of Lear, any chance I get to take even a contemporary version of it, I wanted to do. And now I get all the attendant problems of being on a network.
Right.
I don't have a script for the show we start shooting on the 17th because I know the writer had to submit it to ABC, and it's going around from one executive's office to another executive's office.
Standards and practices.
And all the things. And of course, it's rushed because they don't want to put the money into extending the shooting days to make a better product. They want to as quickly as possible. So you have fewer takes. There's a lot of strain on everybody, but it gets done, and hopefully it'll be we'll do our best.
Do you leave sometimes going like, damn it? Do you get? I mean, it seems like it's not an easy gig, but it's like it's not roofing or something like that. But do you leave just upset?
I've never done roofing professionally, and I'm sure it's hard. But I want to tell you, to be on a television series, this is no walk in the parks.
Yeah.
Especially for people who have the leads, the length of the hours, the intensity of, it's not as easy as it looks to stand in front of a camera and actually do something. There's a lot of concentration, physical effort that goes into it. You do that for 12 hours, 14 hours, and you do it the next day for 14 hours. It's sort of like riding the Tour de France. It's
I obviously didn't mean to make it sound like it was easy. I meant like getting angry at the things that you had brought up with the script and that.
Well, that happens. That even happens it happens the same thing on features. No matter how much time you have, and then it gets, if you throw money, you're making a $250 million film. They have time. It takes forever to do half a page. It takes 3 days.
Yeah.
And there are hundreds. I did Longest Yard, and the caterer said to me, "Guess how many people we have for lunch? 425 people for lunch." We're not talking about a $125 million film. That's 400 people. So 400 people putting their creative and try to make this thing. There's bound to be frustration. There's bound, somebody's out. It's not listen, my personal opinion is actors show up all the time. You don't see a bad performance. You don't go to a movie and the guy goes, "Holy man, what the hell was he doing?" We always show up, and we always show up on time. But there are so many pressures to get this thing right. It's like a battleship.
It is amazing to watch because the length of time it takes to do one take of something just to get one scene. I've always been stunned at how long it takes. It's hours and hours and hours for one click.
That's it.
Well, when we recently filmed with Chris Rock, we filmed for 40 minutes, James, and we know we're going to be on screen for maybe 2 seconds.
40 minutes we sat here.
If we're lucky, we'll be on screen for 2 seconds.
We had no scripts either. It was just like a real interview that's being incorporated.
It was a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, Chris is great.
But
he's quick, man.
Yeah. But we're sitting here going 40 minutes, and none of it is going to be used. It's part of a montage. We know we're part of a montage, right?
How often?
It was exciting, though.
When you tell people you're in a movie, and I've heard actors say that, and they get cut, and then the company doesn't tell them they're cut, and you show up
and
with
you go
somebody.
to the opening.
Oh, and you're not in it.
I've had that happen.
Have you really?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I did a film called Pennies from Heaven, and I thought they can't cut this scene. I'm there. I forced the bad guy to jump out the window and commit suicide. I can't cut that scene. No,
they cut that scene.
They cut the scene.
They figured out a workaround.
Figured out a way to get him. I don't know.
Did I just tell your story?
Yes.
Maybe you're the guy I heard it from.
Listen, any actor who sits in this seat has that story.
Well, I've never had it happen because I don't get it through the audition, so I never get the part.
They actually have to be in it first for them to cut it. So
yeah, that's the beauty of me. Never a heartbreak. You're tremendous. I saw Angels in America for the first time recently, and I just watched people when they're just talking. And there's scenes where Pacino is telling you, like, okay, tell me that Roy Cohn's a homosexual, and there's that whole thing with you. And I'm like, it's so fucking natural looking. These two guys just talking, having a conversation. That is so hard to do. It's so hard to do.
That's a story. If you got time for the story, I misinterpreted that scene really badly. I thought he was a big Park Avenue doctor, and he was going to let Mr. Cohen know that in no uncertain terms what was wrong with him and what he had to do, which was completely wrong. So when we rehearsed the scene, Mike Nichols said to me, "Listen, we're going to shoot Al's way first because he's got all this business. He had to get dressed, fully dressed, from his underwear, 3-piece suit, tie, overcoat, hat, gloves, cigar, cut the cigar, light the cigar. So we shot for a whole day Al's way. Al never made a mistake. And he could go back after a long take and say, I want to go back to this part right here. I missed this.
Wow.
I never missed the piece of business, which is called matching. Then the second day we came my way, and I had eaten the wrong thing for lunch, and my mouth was so dry I could not talk. And I got so nervous I couldn't actually write. I was supposed to write on a thing, but my hand shook so badly. And when we stood off stage waiting to come on for the beginning of the take, Al would reach over and pat me on the shoulder to say, "It's okay, Jamie. You're going to make it through the scene." Oh. And I thought at any moment, Mike Nichols is going to come around and say, "I'm really sorry, Jamie. This didn't work out." And he never said anything. And at the end, I walked past him, and he went, "Great, Jamie. Thank you very much." I thought, I'm going to be on the floor. That scene he'll never come around to my side. About 6 months later, Mike calls me up and says, "There's going to be a screening at CAA. And I want to tell you, we're using your scene to promote the film.
Wow.
When I see the scene, what happened was all my nervousness and all my discomfort read as a doctor, intimidated by the most powerful man in the United States, scared shitless of what was going to happen to him. Roy Coyne saying, you say I have AIDS and I will ruin your life. I will ruin your family. I will ruin. And that's really what happened. So no talent, nothing, just a fluke. I did the scene correctly.
You were trying to play it tough, because there's a moment there where Roy is saying to you, say I'm a homosexual, and then you're like, oh, whatever the hell you want to. Like, there's a moment where you kind of get some balls. It feels like, was that just you relaxing in a second?
Before he snips them.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
That's now I got to see it again.
See it again.
I'll see it and be like,
it's one of the most brilliant. I think that's just an absolutely magnificent piece of work from Kushner's script, because he's the best writer in America as far as I'm concerned. And Mike's work was never better. And Al and Meryl, what Meryl does.
Oh, right. It's 2 roles, right?
3.
Oh, 3.
She plays a rabbi, and I looked at the rabbi. I didn't see her at all. I said, where'd they get an old rabbi who can handle dialogue like this? That's amazing. And it turned out to be Meryl. It was just incredible.
They're telling us you have to go.
Yeah,
unfortunately, we have to promote the film.
yes, the film.
Please, I beg you.
It's really great, and I loved it. It was brilliantly acted, and it made me very angry at parts of it, because just watching this guy have to deal with these jizzbag
bureaucracy of it
bureaucrats was enraging to watch.
But
it's
a love story. It's a love story about 2 elderly people who love each other.
And it was but it was
make
great.
Love
and she was great.
Yeah, Geneviève Bourgeois is magnificent.
And you had good cheeks. James does a nude scene where he walks in. I was pretty impressed.
Oh, don't give away the best.
I freeze framed it. I was like, not bad. And it's tomorrow. It's in theaters tomorrow, and it's called Still Mine. And I really, really loved it. It was brilliantly acted, and just great, man.
Yeah, James
great
is
actor.
just amazing.
A lot of fun on the radio.
Thanks so much for
James
coming
Cromwell,
in.
My
pleasure.
Great
meeting
you.
Yeah.
And are we done?
I think we're done.
we are.
Yeah. What the hell? Let's get out of here.
Thanks, guys. All right.